Hello, I'm Linda Seith from The Layered Onion. Thank you for joining us. We will be listening to our amazing creators talk about their art and mental health. 48 million artists all over the world share this lived experience. The Layered Onion was formed to create a supportive community, allowing the creators to focus on their art, bringing their work from the shadows to receive the recognition and opportunities they deserve. Each podcast will feature an artist who talks about their creations and mental wellness. Art is healing. We hope these discussions will inspire you to appreciate the stories behind the creations and, more importantly, inspire your inner creator. Together, we can tackle the stigma surrounding mental health. So, Mark, welcome to the Layered Onion podcast. Very excited to have you here. Do you think you could introduce yourself to our listeners?
I'd be happy to. My name is Mark Fraire. I'm the director of Dane County Arts and Cultural Affairs, which is also known as Dane Arts. It rests in the heart of county government, and I report directly to County Executive Parisi. The mission of Dane Arts is to support the arts, history, and culture of Dane County, and I think it's my job to raise the visibility of the arts across disciplines to show the economic, cultural, creative, and community impact the arts generate across all arenas. And I mean all arenas: in business, manufacturing, sports, what I call SPARTS, sports and arts, healthcare, education, any work-life environment, the arts are a major part of it. And so what I'm trying to do at Dane Arts, and I'm there now 10 years starting next week, is to, again, infiltrate in a really positive way the various arenas within Dane County to show the value of the arts in our everyday lives. What were you doing during the pandemic? You may have talked to your accountant, you may have gone to your bank, but I know you were streaming, you were reading, you were writing, you were singing, you were dancing, you were doing everything for your spirit to stay alive. And what I'm trying to show these businesses and the community in general is that it's the arts that drive our local economy and the arts that drive our souls. So we need to get more funding and support for the various artists around Dane County. And the beauty of Dane County is because there are so many artists, people want to move to Dane County for three reasons: the lakes, the parks, and the cultural arts. And I know the cultural arts are an economic driver. They're not coming to live in Dane County or visit Dane County because they want to meet their attorneys. Maybe they are, but I know they're coming because they want to be part of a festival. They want to go to an event downtown, the art fair on the square, the markets. Everything that we have in Dane County are reasons people are coming here to enjoy the creative connection that we provide throughout Dane County.
So let's back up a bit. Why the arts for you? How did the arts become your passion?
Because I come from a family of artists. So I'm the youngest of 6 children. My parents wanted 3. So they gave me the initials MF. It didn't mean my favorite. But no, my father and mother are both World War II veterans. Both worked very hard their whole lives as Mexicans, being in this country. I'm third generation. It was about making sure we had access to the creative environment. My father made sure that all of us did 2 things in our life when we were growing up. We had to learn 2 instruments. We had to learn how to play the piano because he wanted us to be able to read music because we'd read music our whole lives. And that's so true today. And he wanted us to play another instrument so we get a sense of the creative environment of what music produces. So there was always music on in our household. Mostly Sunday mornings it was ranchero music, Mexican music, Tejano music for the one station that played that music on a Sunday morning during breakfast. And there would be 6 kids in the kitchen, my parents would be dancing and the kids would be fighting. And my mother would be making one meal for one child, another meal for another child, and the music would be blaring. And it was always about that environment that the arts drove our souls and created our spirit and built community. And I learned that that's what it's about for me, is building community, making our communities better, and giving access and opportunities to those very people that don't have that ability to participate in the arts. We know that the arts drive our soul, and I have firsthand experience of what it does for a young person, for a child, when that child is exposed to music. You see children, when the music is playing, they just automatically, without hesitation, start moving and dancing. And it's just so fun because it's just what drives their spirit. When babies are born, what's the first word they learn? They learn mama. The second word they learn is probably no. The third word they learn is probably why. But what happens at age 5 or 6 is that kids then learn 2 words. Who cares? So I'm trying to help communities instill in all citizens the opportunity to participate in the arts. And I'm honored to be part of Dane County, which is an incredible county, in this state that doesn't fund the arts. Incredible county to have that opportunity to do so under Joe Parisi. So I'm in the arts because it fills my spirit.
So you played instruments, but you also told me earlier you did stand-up comedy.
Yes, a bad stand-up comic, which is why I'm an administrator. I like to say when I initially started way back, Sinbad, the comedian Sinbad.
Yeah, I remember.
Opened for Sinbad, and he was funny. And this guy was very funny. But what drives a lot of comedians is that's like most artists, that's all it is. You got to be this full-time in your souls. You got to eat it. You got to live it. You got to really want it very badly. I knew in my soul, my heart, I didn't have that killer instinct to want to be on stage all the time. I like making people laugh. I think laughter is a great release. Kurt Vonnegut Jr. always has his rights. Laughter and crying are releases of the same emotion. So I'm always,
I just watched that documentary last night.
Oh, I didn't. That was a documentary on Kurt Vonnegut?
Yes, I just watched it last night.
Oh, well, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
And he actually would write letters back to people that would write him. He would write a handwritten letter to them. And that brings that relationship of arts and comedy. Laughter is a great release. I do yoga regularly because I love what yoga does for me mentally as well as physically. And they have laughter yoga, where if you laugh, your brain doesn't know the difference between laughing for real or laughing fake. So your brain automatically creates those endorphins when you just do a laugh. But it's very hard just to laugh. But when people put you in an environment, where you can laugh and release, it's just amazing. It just does wonders for you. That's why I think comedy was always great. I come from a family of so many children that you always one-upmanship. I come from a vicious, sarcastic family. So comedy was always a big part of it. And my mother was very funny. She would just give you those one-liners. I was like, whoa. She'd say one line like, I'll beat the living daylights out of you. And I'd go in the middle of the night and say, what does that mean? My God, the daylight. So comedy is just a great release. And I love making people laugh. It just feels good.
So one of the things that we were very excited about is we had submitted a grant, the Layered Onion, and with Dane County Food Collective to expand our journal, which is the Shallot, to include a real emphasis on culinary arts and working with Dane County Food Collective, where they're really interested in how the food service industry and its intersection with mental wellness. And so we really are all about art being a healing mechanism. And so maybe you could talk a little bit about your experience with Dane County, with all the artists you work with, and how the arts have been healing for people.
Well, I always say the arts build community, the arts generate wellness, the arts save lives. Because so many young people that I work with and so many people in general are reaching for something that makes their lives feel spiritually alive. And the arts are what help do that. When a young person has experienced music or dance or theater or film or literary or performance art or comedy, that child has no opportunities to close the fist and fight or to do negative activities. Surely there are a lot of negative activities happening, but it just frames a world that makes our lives better. And I don't know if I'm answering your question directly, but for me, it is about wellness. You bring musicians into a hospital and they play for an audience of patients or even workers, you can't help but feel better. When you go into a hospital or a living environment that has sculptures there that you can touch and feel, that tactile ability to touch and feel and experience is mind-boggling. Go to an art museum, go to the Chase, and go to the Museum of Modern Contemporary, go to Arts and Literature Laboratory, and then have a conversation with art. It really allows you to just be a better person and find that energy in you that makes you complete. That's what's so so aggravating for me in education is that we deny the arts and we reduce the activity access to the arts for kids, when that one component that is missing in most of these kids' lives is that ability to feel and care, and the arts do that. I was just with the Juvenile Center director because I'm going to do some programming with them, because these students may seem like they're lost, and many of them are because they're young kids without much ability, but I don't believe any young kid wakes up and says, I'm going to be a terrible kid today. I think it's just circumstances that happen. But when they have these opportunities and they taste it, their lives can change forever. We've got thousands of stories. You may be an example of your life as a child and being turned on to the arts that just created a path that's a little bit different and a little bit more accepting of who you are because of the art. So it's really, really significant in terms of wellness and mental health that the arts are a part of it. To be able to experience literature, poetry, visual arts, or theater in a way that takes you out of yourself. That's the beauty of it. That's why I love yoga so much. It removes me from thinking so much about what's going on to the moment of just being in a flow, and flow is so critical. And most people have limited access to the ability to live in a world of flow where you get lost in that moment of creativity and activity. That's why it's great for kids to just daydream,
Well, kids are so creative. All kids are so creative. And it seems that we really stifle that. And so you work with young kids all the way to people who are older. And when do you see that moment that kids, is it in middle school when it's that peer spot? Because as I've interviewed so many artists and I ask them what they would tell their younger self, I often hear that they would have just told themselves to believe in themselves, to keep going, not to have limited, not to have listened to the other voices. Have you found, is there that magic moment that people sort of start doubting their creative ability?
Well, I think there's that moment every day where people doubt their creative ability, whether you're an artist or not. And as far as the exposure time and when it really happens, it's certainly the earlier ages. Same with languages. You can learn 3 languages as a young person, whereas as an adult, it's much, much more difficult. So any age, people that are my age and those who are retiring and been in the corporate world all their lives, they don't pick up accounting as an extra career afterwards. They don't decide they're going to go into banking as a retirement. What do? They try singing. They go into dancing. They do all these creative, they take up art. And then they say to me often, I wish I had known this years ago. And I said, well, you could have if you weren't so whacked out in the idea of making money and that being what drove you. If you had completed your world, and this is what the arts do, they make you a complete person. This is what's missing in most of these people's lives, that completeness of feeling confidence. And you can't feel confident until you taste it, in the same way you can't feel failure until you fail. And failure is okay. It's if you don't learn from failure that makes it difficult. But what do we learn from our failures? And that's what art does. It's like science, these people that are questioning scientists who do this their whole lives, 50, 40, 30 years of working in science in a particular field. I think they know something that we don't know, but they fail every day.
Yeah, and they create experiments to fail.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, so you know what not to do.
Right. That's what drives me nuts about a certain part of this country of people is that they assume that a scientist, like an artist, automatically knows and does it. That quote that perfection is the evil of good, not evil, but perfection is, people work so hard to be perfect that I always ask artists, when did you know you were done with your work? And they just, I just knew. And just let it go. And let it, and put it out to the world, and see what the exposure is. But it is major in terms of wellness. The arts are critical to who we are as a people.
So let's turn a bit to some of the issues that go on in Wisconsin. I mean, in Wisconsin, we're ranked 49th out of the 50 states in funding.
Right in front of Georgia.
I know. And it's
the irony.
Yeah, isn't that something? It's about 29 cents per capita.
18 cents per capita. Georgia's 14 cents.
So here you have, but yet studies show that the economic impact So that 1.6 million generates, even just in taxes,
billion for statewide.
Billion for statewide, even for just taxes, it will generate 190 million in taxes. Right. And so it more than pays for its investment, the return on.
Yes.
But yet we have a neighboring state, Minnesota, who is over 40 million in investment from the state. Mm. What do we say to legislators to try to get them to understand the value of investing in the arts?
That's a great question. One of the things I think is critical for artists is to get involved in serving on boards and commissions and attending these meetings where they don't have a voice and become that voice. Infiltrating the legislature, become a political person that attends a county board meetings, as difficult as it may be because of time constraints. So everybody's got a life and everybody is busy. But until artists and arts organizations step up to understand the value that we bring on a greater way and start becoming more vocal about it, there's no reason to the legislator to do anything about it. We're in a state that is losing a lot of its democracy for lots of reasons, and people go on their little Insta whatever and get their feeds from that rather than really digging deep. We're just talking about it a minute ago, in terms of the amendments that were passed in this state, which is ridiculous. If people had just taken the next step and learned about those amendments, they would see how poorly crafted they are and the impact it's going to have on folks. So I think artists need to get more involved to make that happen. And it's long term. When I work with artists, it's not like, how long are you going to be in this town in Madison, in Dane County? Well, I'll be here a couple of years. Okay, great. Good luck. But if you're going to be here 10 years or 15 years, then we have an opportunity to impact the community on a greater, more significant way. And that is really deepening the investment in the arts. And the return on that is enormous. As you noted, $1 billion industry. We're ahead of agriculture. We're often in front of the tourism. We do ways of building the economy that no other business builds the economy like the arts. We're in every arena. In Dane County alone, we're at $350 million. Goes back into the local economy through arts and culture. If you buy a ticket for a local event and you live in Dane County, our research shows you're spending $18 more to go to that event that has nothing to do with the event. There's no return on that investment to the event, but you're going out to dinner, you're hiring babysitters, you're traveling, you're paying for parking, you're paying state taxes on parking in city lot. You are spending a lot more money than just that ticketed event. If you live outside of Dane County, our research shows you're spending at least $33 more to go to that event. Again, that doesn't impact that event whatsoever, but you're supporting all these local businesses. And I think these local businesses are struggling on a small scale, the smaller businesses, but corporate America here in this country and in this county can do more to participate because the return to these companies is going to be significant. It's investing back in the local economy, and that's the return because artists spend money here in Dane County. Artists have families here in Dane counties. Artists stay here in Dane County versus the brain drain and leaving to another state. So the impact is significant. The millions of dollars we enter into the cultural community, the impact on purchases, the state and local taxes for the arts. All these arts organizations, especially since the pandemic, are suffering substantially because many people still are not buying tickets in advance. They're not doing season ticket holders. They're waiting to the last day or so before they purchase a ticket. So as a promoter and as a venue owner, you're like, whoa, we're not sure we're going to be able to make it because people are not buying in advance like they used to. But I know, and our research shows with Americans for the Arts and the Wisconsin Arts Board, how much an economic driver the arts are in this community. And I'm wanting people to stand up more and be a little bit more vocal about this. We're losing the arts in schools, or if we haven't lost them completely, we certainly are. We're losing Madison is a music city, but the artists who go to these performances aren't paid a living wage, so we're working on ways of having artists become more viable and paid the wage they should be for the amount of work that they do, much like a scientist or a doctor. I can't stand the line when people say, oh, it's not brain surgery. Well, you know what? It is. because we are making your brains better.
Right. It's so healing and so increases capacity.
Right. What do you watch the Super Bowl? What? Football? Yeah. No, I watch the commercials. I watch the halftime show. That's all art. Everything you have is all art. Problem we have, again, is that, and I put this on us as artists, we are not doing enough to be vocal about what we do for our communities. We change lives, and as I said before, once you taste it, I know I've got you forever. Once I give a child an opportunity to experience art and that bing goes off, you can see it, you literally can see it with kids, that, wow, you've got them. One of the other problems we face is that we got them, but we don't keep it there. They turn around and then it's gone. We do a lot of these concerts for various groups around town that will have an event at the Overture Center, bringing in lots of kids from the schools. Kids get turned down there for the first time. We did with the Madison Symphony Orchestra a show where artist T.L. Luke, who's an illustrator, they wanted an artist who could do illustrations and they wanted to do it to the Firebird. Well, I knew T.L. Luke's ability as an illustrator is second to none. That we'd just hire a TL to do that. So they created with the symphony, the Firebird, which is a story about a bird and the big monsters in terms of the situation the bird's in and this relationship with the community and the environment. So she did, during the symphonic show, live drawings that went with the show. And there's filled with 3,000 kids, not a sound in the audience. I was saying to my assistant, I said, oh my gosh, did the kids like this? They in tune? And when they were done with the show, the applause were astounding. And I heard from parents who didn't have any idea that Dane Arts was involved in this process say, oh, my child came home and saw the symphony show, and whoa, there was an artist drawing this and that. And I said, well, yeah, because Dane Arts helped make that happen. But it turned these kids on to that opportunity. But we got to keep them going. We can't just do it once a year. This is something that's got to be done every day, every week. And we can do that. We can afford it. This is a very wealthy county. We can afford it. Kids having access to every part of the arts every day. We just haven't made that. We haven't made that a priority. And I think we as artists need to start shouting more so the legislators understand that. But right now, it's all about money. It's all about corporate greed. It's all about what I want, me, versus how do we make our communities better?
So if you gave an artist 3 messages to give to the local level legislators that they have, so it might be county board members, might be, their local representatives, what 3 points, what would be their elevator speech to those folks?
Well, each person needs to create an elevator speech according to what one's needs are. But in terms of, I'd say this a lot to artists, is that it's not so much what you need, it's what can you give. So I would, depending on who the legislator is in your community, I would find out what that legislator's needs are, what's the priorities of that legislator. And I'm a big fan of handwritten notes. If you meet with a legislator, don't email the legislator. Send that person or that political person that you meet with a handwritten note in blue ink and your own letterhead and your own stationery with your own stamp. Because who doesn't like receiving a note handwritten to you? We all look at it. We all cherish it. And the thing about a handwritten note is that it takes time to really think about it. In today's world, even write, if you can write even legibly. But really, there's ways of connecting to your legislator, but find out what the needs are of the legislator. What is your community like? What are the needs of the community? What are the priorities? Housing, homelessness, the opiate addiction. Those are big, big things in our community. So how do the arts answer that? So I always remind artists, don't ask for what you want, ask for how you can give. And that is part of what they should do. So meet your legislator, send notes, find out what the priorities are, and how can you provide access and assistance to answering those issues. This is the beauty about artists. Artists don't find answers. They identify problems. Then they find the answer. That's what you tell a business person. I was in the School of Business. I got my MBA in finance at UW-Madison, and I'm proud of that effort only because I knew I would be one of the few artists in the program, but I needed to learn the language. And it was hilarious because we were right across from Chazy Museum. to get some of these business CFOs and CEOs who are big dogs at their companies in corporate America, just come out over to me and with me. What do I do? Just come on over. Let the art talk to you. Wow, you socialist, you commie. Just come on over and be a part of the community. So I took over a couple of business people with me to an opening event that the Chase in, and they were giving out wine and appetizers. And these guys are like, whoa, this happens at an art event? Yeah, now go look at some of the art. Get comfortable. It's just getting folks who aren't part of our world comfortable. And this is the whole issue about race and culture and identity is, as a brown man in this country, I'm uncomfortable every day. But I've learned how to walk through it. I've learned how to become comfortable in environments because I've experienced it. We need more people to experience the arts because once they do, once they taste it, they'll see the glory. And once they see the glory of it and we frame it in a way that is deliberate and impactful in their lives, then they better understand it. And it's like I go back to race. If your son or daughter marries one of us dark people, and you have a dark baby or you have dark people in your lives and you get to know them personally and you start to become invested in them and you start to care about them, that changes your whole world, and that's what the arts do. Just a little bit of investment can change your world and make you, I can't say a better person, but make you experience ways and ideas and thoughts and a lifestyle that is new and refreshing and vital to our existence.
Well, it broadens our horizons, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, that's the thing about higher ed. I'm not telling every kid needs to go to college, but every kid needs to obtain a skill, a trade, as they get to be our age. And I tell young people, you're going to be my age. So why don't you be my age with some skills and a degree or some technical training so you can survive and sustain a lifestyle that you want? Borrow money if you have to. You'll pay it back because you're going to work the rest of your life. Don't let reasons or excuses keep you from advancing your life. And public education and higher ed exposes you to a world of folks that you would never have met if it wasn't for that. And that changes your world. That's what it goes back to. Then you marry one of us, and I'm your Theo, and I come knocking on your door. Poppy's here. So,
well, I really want to thank you for coming.
We're done? That's it?
Mm-hmm.
I thought we had like 3 hours.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Neither do the listeners.
But we can have you back again. But what I would like to do is ask you that as you ponder, sort of the future, what would be the ideal future that you could see for your grandkids or, for the future marks that are coming that would incorporate the arts?
Well, obviously greater funding available to artists to do the work that they are meant to do in the same way that we honor engineers and doctors and lawyers and accountants. Much of what's happening on this Near East Side corridor with the WISO and My Arts and Arts Lit Lab and the Sylvie, that's a new cultural arts hub. So more opportunities for every citizen to be exposed and participate in the arts would be really a wonderful place. Madison is one of the few communities in the country, much like us, Austin and Ann Arbor and Berkeley, in the Carolinas and the Tri-Circle area, where arts are really vibrant. Minneapolis, with all the funding these are vibrant places to be, but more funding can be attributed to help the many, many different artists sustain their lifestyles. So they're not working a second job. Many that worked the second job in the pandemic were waiters and waitresses.
Right.
That
was such a tie to the healthcare.
It was devastating,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So more opportunities, because I guarantee you that the opportunities that we can create would make this community a much better, stronger place for everybody, not just for the few of us, because we're privileged.
Absolutely.
But we need to share this with everybody we meet and talk to. So that's what I would see as a better place, would be more arts opportunity.
Well, thank you very much for coming. And thank you so much for the support Dane Arts gave to the Shallot. We're very excited. The issue is coming out for May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so it's a real opportunity for the artists to sort of share, how art has been healing for them.
And that's my other message to artists. Reach out. There's opportunities to get this funding and possibilities. That's why we did the business conference, to give artists that opportunity to look beyond just their art. How do you manage it as a business? How do you create more opportunities? So I appreciate us being able to do that. It's a small amount of money, but it's a step. But keep coming back to Dane Arts because we'll do what we can to help and support the very beautiful, vibrant work that you're doing at the Layered Onion.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. It is an honor to talk with these amazing creators. You can see and read the artist's work in the Shallot, our journal of mental health, art, and literature, or on our website, thelayeredonion.com. Thank you.
A little